Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Harshita Singhal, Technical Consultant at DSCI. I would again like to extend a warm welcome to all of you to the 16th edition of DSCI NASCOM Annual Information Security Summit. I would like to thank you all of you for joining this session that is on SOC for OT environment. Now, I would like to welcome the panelists for this session. So we have Mr. Amitava Mukherjee. He is Director of Cybersecurity in Siemens. He will be the moderator of this session. Next, we have Mr. Narayan Raman. He is DGM CISO ONGC. The third panelist is Mr. Somnath Kundu. He is Deputy General Manager NTPC Limited. And finally, we have Dr. Vireshwar Kumar. He is Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, IIT Delhi. A very warm welcome to all the panelists. Thank you for joining the session. Now it's over to Mr. Amitava.
Thank you, Ashita.
Thank you.
It's really a pleasure as well as honor to have this platform from Data Security Council of India to take up a topic which is very critical and important and key topic in the current trends. So, without any further introduction as such, which has anyway done. So let me start with something to do with introduction to SOC. So maybe if it's okay, I will invite Narayan to give us a brief introduction to what is SOC actually, what we mean by SOC, probably for the benefit of the entire, our participants or
Sure,
attendees in the call. Please.
sure. SOC stands for Security Operations Center. Basically, it's basically the thing which completely monitors around the clock about security of the entire network infrastructure and devices. So when this comes to monitoring the entire thing, this basically tells what is required to be monitored, which are the candidates. That's the main thing. So these nothing should be left out of the monitoring of the SOC. If that is anything, is that becomes a dark spot. So asset inventorization and what is to be brought into the gamut of SOC, that is important. And basically, what the mechanism, which is second thing which is important, is what mechanisms are adopted. So that mechanisms which are there are some the logs for that. What everything has to come to central place to SOC. Then definitely something which is what is happening on those all those devices and network devices and the traffic what is transpiring between them, they have to be monitored. So that means all kind of logs have to be brought to some central place. So that is the second stage of this thing. So the all the network devices, all the devices and their log servers and their logs, and the what is happening in the perimeter devices and security devices, all those logs have to be brought to the central place. And then they have to come to, and what they have to be brought to the same single place. That is the thing. And it is to be seen that in this entire gamut of things, nothing should be left which is basically having the vulnerability or which can be exposed to threat. That should not be left out of this monitoring of all these things. That is first thing. Second thing is basically what is there to be monitored against. What are we monitoring? So which is basically the security instances which is happening, with what is happening which is insecure in nature. That is what is to be monitored in the entire SOC. Because I'm putting it in a very simple perspective, which will be probably I'm very sure which will be appreciated by all. So that is that. The second thing is we have to have the all this all the network and log devices, like whether it is the database access management tool, or the endpoint security tool, or TVM, APT, and DAM, all those kind of tool, PIM, various tools are there, privilege and identity management, endpoint security tools, and so on, and data loss prevention. All these kind of tools, I'm naming a few. There can be list, will go on. But this kind of tools and the firewall and net flow, the traffic which is happening actually, and the devices, their tools, all these things are aggregated at same place, and they are to be then analyzed. What is they look for? One is within the traffic, and within this thing they have to look for something obnoxious happening. Secondly, the other thing is visibility, so first thing is visibility. This when it ends up the thing which is called visible, we have to have visibility towards everything. Then second comes what is the thing, then thread comes, thread feeds, the intelligence feeds comes in. So that we have to have the intelligence feeds and the alerts from various agencies and other external and internal sources we have to have. So this internal thing is taken care by the devices, and external sources are to be done. Then the third and the final thing is then that has to be create the alerts. That is I have already covered. Then the team which is monitoring it has to have the knowledge about how to do it. So analysis of all these things, they have to be put in some. The SIM tool is that security ID incidents and event management. So that tools gives the complete picture of analyzing all these things and putting a context into what is happening. So that has to have the architecture, how the things are flowing amongst each other, and the entire thing has to be understood so that it can analyze and properly produce. And that same thing has to be there with the operators also. Then this particular thing analysis has to take some. Then IPDRR will come of the an NIST framework. Identify, detect, prevent, response, and recover. This will flow after that. And then after this, the log has to be maintained. The log has to be maintained for a certain time for forensics. What is before that? What is while preventing what has happened? Then we have to do a forensic analysis and what really has happened. The detailed analysis. What further security enhancement can be there? Is there any further
So
fundamental?
Narayan, if I
This is the
if I
thing.
can probably so thank you for giving a detailed and exhaustive.
Yeah, this is
If I
the
can,
detailed analysis. This is the entire gamut
yeah,
it covered.
yeah. So if
It
I can
defines.
summarize in one line for the benefit of the entire community. So typically, SOC or SOC, it is a process of creating asset visibility, monitoring, identifying threat feeds, creating threat intelligence, and helping in decision taking in the field of cybersecurity
Precisely.
in an environment. Maybe a question leading from this, maybe I will look to Somnath now. I mean, we have been using this terminology or this technology or this concept for quite some time now, and it's very matured as such. So, how do you think? What will be the applicability of SOC in the operation technology environment or OT environment? So, please, if you can share your views, Somnath.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I would just like to take this opportunity to really tell that it's really a matter of great honor and pleasure that DSCI had thought that I am one of those persons who can throw some light on this topic of SOC for OT. Thank you for that. Thanks to all the other panelists also. Now, to start with, the OT environment actually is a very complex environment with different taste of processes, criticalities, a different plethora of devices being used. And as such, what happens that maybe in a single organization, we will have a very varied amount of OT infrastructures, maybe ranging from some legacy to the latest trade of the art in the form of some enabled industry 4.0 kind of a devices. As such, what happens when such large plethora of devices are in action and the complexities are different, the criticalities are different, visibility becomes a very important factor. And along with those visibility, another important factor is the resources that we are managing over here. So once the resources are varied, the second point that will come into picture is the configuration of those resources. Now, unlike an IT environment, the OT resources configuration are very typical, very proprietary in some cases, and dependent on the vendors, and as a result, a bit complex. Also, there is the other part of considering the change management scenario. So maybe in a control environment or an operational technology environment, the control scenario, the control management might vary from one kind of a process to the other kind of a process. And as such, there comes the question of change management. And obviously, one very important factor in case of OT environment is the identification of the vulnerabilities, the risk assessment part, and obviously, last but not the least, is the patching environment. The patching in itself is a very complex phenomena as such as the operational technologies are concerned, and it requires due care, due diligence to do it in a proper sense, killing the vulnerabilities, putting the countermeasures. Citing all these requirements, let's say the visibility part and the other aspects that I have told over here, yeah, definitely the SOC is one of the things that is nowadays required in a OT environment. More so because if we see the latest trend, the tracks of the hackers have increased by a vast scale over attacking the OT infrastructure rather than doing it for the IT infrastructure. So we have to stay ahead of the game. So it's more like that we need to cut down on our response time. We need to really have a visible environment where we can feel okay. Actually, we have been hacked. Maybe in today's world, the OT environment, it will take a huge amount of time to even understand that we are actually hacked or not, and obviously the reduced time of response. So citing all these criteria, I think that it is very much applicable for a OT environment also.
So again, if I can just quickly summarize what you gave a message to all of us. So SOC or a Security Operations Center is applicable for OT, considering the kind of control environment, considering the criticality of change management procedures, considering the potential vulnerabilities, considering the patching cycles and applicability of patching, and obviously, last but not least, is optimizing operations or operational disruption, staying ahead of the game, and optimizing the time to respond. Thank you so much. Again, as a similar, same topic, if we can reach out to Viresh, what will be what is your experience, or maybe you would like to share about certain specific OT security vulnerabilities and remediations? I'm sure you have a lot to say about what's happening since 9th December. We are currently, even I think all organizations are very actively working on those similar kind of vulnerability remediation approaches, and OT, I'm sure, is not out of scope as such. So, what are your feedback, or what are your thoughts about vulnerabilities and remediations related to OT security? Over to Viresh.
Yeah, thank you, Amitabh. Yeah, so as has been highlighted by Somnath, that OT environment is much more complex than a typical IT environment if we want to prevent attacks on our OT environment. And another point that he has already highlighted is that OT environment is very complex, and it is not very easy to have complete control of your own OT environment, because you might be getting these from a variety of vendors, and therefore our OT environments have a very large threat landscape. Now, if we want to talk about some specific attacks that are possible in OT environment, I would say that there is a very, very large threat. There are large number of threat vectors that are available there, starting from a simple ransomware type of attack that we hear quite often these days, to some types of attacks which are not even detected, and you would not even realize that that attack has already happened on your system. So one of the typical examples that people give in this context is the Stuxnet type of malware, which actually gets introduced into your system. It makes sure that whatever monitoring system that you have, that malware evades that monitoring system, do the compromise of whatever it wants to do without being detected, and then after that compromise has already happened and something has already broken into your system, then you realize that something has gone wrong. So therefore, now moving on to the defense recommendations part. So typically we go by some of the best practices that have been recommended by these security agencies. So NIST is one of the most trustable security agency, and they provide this 5-step response, as has been highlighted by Narayan as well while discussing about this SOC. So you need to have this 5-step response of identifying the threat landscape, then having some protocols to protect those attacks from happening. Then if you could not protect some of the attacks, then you should have some sort of detection mechanism in place in order to detect that. And once you have an attack on your system, there must be some short-term way to respond to those attacks. And then finally, you need to have this recovery mechanism in place as well. So this identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. So just giving a little bit more elaborate on some of these key points. So when we say identify, then we would like to have some risk management strategy. So you definitely identify the risks that your OT environment may have. And then you should build up a policy document about what are you going to do to manage that risk and what will happen if your systems get compromised. So that is a part of that identification procedure. And when I say protect, you need to have a strong access control mechanism. You need to be utilizing the state-of-the-art cryptographic techniques in order to prevent any type of compromise of your system. But then if we talk about these detect part, you definitely need these days ML AI based intrusion detection systems in order to detect these ML AI boosted attackers. So the attackers also are getting more intelligent with the development of this AI ML technologies, and therefore the defense mechanisms that you need or the detection mechanisms that you need, that also be boosted with state-of-the-art AI ML techniques. And then response planning and short-term response planning in terms of what will your response team will do in terms of right after detecting that attack has happened is very, very important. And you must have an improvement plan, the recovery plan. If you figure out that some aspects of your network were compromised because of certain vulnerabilities, and how to mitigate those vulnerabilities, and that is very important. So yes, if we have time, I will also go into detail of some of these. But yeah, Amitabh, so that is what I wanted to talk about in this part.
Thanks, Viresh, for appropriately putting it through. I mean, in fact, I think you are also indicating. So basically, if I can again sum up what you shared as a takeaway message. So you shared about it's a complex and hybrid environment when you're talking about operation technology as a topic. It has wider threat landscape, typically longer identification time in the current context. So probably you are also redirecting that, yes, SOC or applicability of SOC in OT is something which can give a better, cybersecurity, posture in the OT environment as well. And you also touched on, I think, already about what Narayan started with about the asset visibility. So maybe if you can just give a one-line comment about the importance of resiliency in OT. Is it something it's a must to have, good to have, or we may even do away without this?
No, I think it is a must. So no matter what kind of security mechanism you put in place, it is going to be compromised. So if we look into any technology which we trust in, even if it is a banking sector, our financial sector, or whether it is our cellular network that we trust in, or even computer networks that we have so much trust in, all of them are vulnerable to attacks. And we researchers keep finding security vulnerabilities in any of these protocols. Of course, Bluetooth is the one that is very easily compromisable, and we keep figuring out vulnerabilities in Bluetooth as well. But similarly, TLS, definitely we trust in our TLS, but every now and then there are some security vulnerabilities which are discovered in those scenarios. And therefore, no matter what kind of infrastructure you put in place to prevent attacks, in your scenario, it is very difficult to prevent all attacks. You will prevent most of the attacks, but not all attacks. And therefore, even though you have a monitoring system, you would be definitely be able to detect with the help of your SOC, you might be able to detect it. Then you must, and therefore that brings the part of resilience. So you must have some sort of resiliency in your own OT infrastructure, so that although the attacker might be inside your system, but your system should be robust enough to actually have this latency in place, so that the amount of harm that the attacker could do is very limited. And therefore, I would say that resiliency is very important in preventing attacks. And even though if an attack is ongoing, then probably the amount of harm that the attack could do, that could also be something that we need to consider when considering about the resiliency of the OT environment.
So thank you again once again, Viresh. So basically, you re-endorse what Narayan started with. So maybe I'll quickly go to Somnath just to understand his view on what do you think, or rather, what is as per your experience, what can be considered as the weakest link, say in the people process technology chain, considering OT as an environment.
Okay, I would just like to put it like I have a very state of the art home with a very latest state of the art lock, but the people residing in the home don't know how to use that lock. So it culminates to that point actually. So each and every one of the organization related to the OT environment more so should be very aware of what his or her role actually is to the process, to the access philosophy is being used, and each and every nitty gritties of the system. Along with that, there is another set of people who are the subject matter expert, maybe on the cybersecurity of those systems. Now, cybersecurity is a thing which we need to keep ourselves updated day in, day out. Otherwise, we will go old. And that is why the subject matter experts should also continuously update their knowledge. So basically, it culminates into staff training, awareness, and then getting good professional skills and competent resources with us. Now, these should be backed up more so by the process, which will talk more about my management instructions, like how my organization is actually being guided by its mission and vision. What are the actual roles and objectives of this OT environment that the organization is using? Obviously, followed by stringent government frameworks. We should have ultimate due diligence and due care in complying with all the regulations and guidelines that are being provided by the
So
Lost
we,
communication, Alok.
Somnath, I think you are not. We cannot hear you, Somnath, anymore.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yeah, now
You
you
are
are audible. Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I was telling that the next part is the process. So the in the process part, we should build it like the management uh, idea or the management aim. What is the mission and vision of this OT environment ultimately? How it is to be driven, and then obviously the compliances to the government frameworks that are being formed. More so, I can say, being involved in a lot of government frameworks nowadays, that the government is really trying hard to actually strengthen the core of the OT cybersecurity. And to end it, the technology, I would say, is to be implemented in such a way that it has a comprehensive risk analysis. Here, I would like to draw a parallel. Actually, when we talk about people process technology vis-a-vis the IT environment, uh, we call upon for a ISO 27001. There can be a parallel which can be drawn from IEC 62443 2-1 in coordination with 3-3 and maybe 1-1, where we can talk about a cybersecurity management system with a cybersecurity life cycle. And we can actually build upon on the NIST framework, as Narayan was already telling, that identify, uh, uh, protect, detect, respond, and recover. And culminating it, we should have a process where there should be an access phase, there should be a development and implementation phase, followed by the maintenance phase, which also includes the awareness and the continuous knowledge upgradation of the people. I would like to end it that way.
Thank you, Somnath, for wrapping up it so well. I think again, the key message coming out of your views are people is key, supported by technology, process, and framework, irrespective of IT or OT environment. Another very critical topic I would like to draw attention from Narayan now, if we can provide some overall idea. What will be your advice if somebody would like to draw a roadmap while perceiving threat intelligence and security feeds architecture in the OT cybersecurity? And I'm sorry to say one thing, just we have to keep the clock in the mind as well. We have 12 minutes. And so now over to you. So if you can share from your immense experience about how should we go ahead in preparing a roadmap, keeping, this
Yeah.
specific, the threat
Thank
intelligence
you,
and security
Amitabh.
feed architecture. Yes.
My earlier, my co-panelists have put up certain insight into the SOC, the way it should be done. But the thing is, the one thing which has been really nicely told by Somnath, that these people parties are most vulnerable because those OT people are not very trained to handle the security per se. They are subject matter experts. But as far as journey is concerned, I would say that the OT systems are there are two difficulties in the OT systems. One is they are OEM based systems, and everything which has to be done in them, that is to be done with the taking OEM of the OT environment into consideration. That is, and because availability and they are directly handling the processes, physical processes, so that brings a different dimension, which is having a risk involving the people part of it. Is the health and life of the people also is endangered. That cannot be underpinned. The second thing is the availability factor becomes so important. Anything which we do at just to handle the security should not make the things unavailable or any other thing delay, even a small delay in the entire thing, or the processes may have a very different kind of thing, because they are all real time systems. So anything which we try to do in the name of security, if it adds to some sort of additional processing time, so it may really efficiency of the control may go. So that is another thing. So these two aspects are there, and these devices were not traditionally designed to provide the security logs, and that's why, because they were really tailor made to handle the real time systems. They were not handled to generate so much of logs and these and that and so much of thing which IT systems will do, because they are designed to have that kind of a thing. So the what I would say that this zoning first of all is very important. These devices, we should not depend on these devices to deliver all those things which are required for SOC purposes. We have to develop a zoning and then develop the traffic analysis around that system, because these systems, I personally would feel that they should be left to handle what they are best designed to handle, the real time controls. So that is what is we should be separated from all this kind of things, and the traffic which is emanating and traveling here and there from control systems to operators, and operator to the enterprise system, and enterprise system to internet. This kind of layered security has to be there, and zoning is very important. And the traffic has to be minimum to the requirement, tailor made to the requirement, and it should be clearly monitored. So that is what is the very important thing. And those systems which are built up around these things, the firewalls and all this kind of thing, those logs are more then become the important part, what is transpiring between the systems. So that is somewhat which is not so critical, that doing right on the systems, control systems themselves. So that is the thing. And once we zone and put these policy in place, how the things, what is to grow from which layer to which layer, and what should not go, and those logs then be monitored as whether they are as per the design policy and other things. The most other which is very critical is the SOCs are normally put up in the enterprise network. So bringing itself, in the name of bringing the logs and other thing, we have to open up. These OT systems are so far, they are air gapped. So bringing those logs, and for that, we opening up the enterprise network is also is a challenge. So these, because they are traditionally secluded and sacrosanct kind of systems. So opening up anything, that has to be done with proper risk analysis, that what kind of additional risk it will bring to that, and any other thing which has to be done onto the system in the name of security, or any blocking or anything, that should not create any kind of unavailability of the system or configuration change of the system or something like that. So those, because the CIA triad becomes reverse in the case of OT systems. So though that has to be brought into the mind, and then accordingly, what I would again underline is basically, instead of doing directly onto the system, which has to be, we have to have dependability on the system itself, because they are traditionally very old systems, and until unless they go for a complete revamp with the new systems which have that capabilities, though we have to build up the zoning and conduiting, and from that we bring up as it go along with the 62443 also. So this is the thing, and this is my take from all this.
Thank you so much, Narayan. And I'm slightly excited, or rather, inclined to comment. You mentioned, you used the word called air gap. So probably we all are equally aware of. Slowly, day by day, the concept or the understanding of air gap is becoming a myth. I mean, thanks for giving this lead to us to discuss further on this topic, maybe going forward, because we know for sure that there are various instances of IT/OT convergence may not be in a very straightforward way. It can be through certain shared devices. It can be due to certain, remote support provided by vendors. It may be due to usage of USB in the OT environment. It can be, due to certain externals at operation area, or even it can be a contribution from our supply chain. And apart from that, there can be many covert channels which may also be, exploited for certain kind of, compromise. So, and with keeping the pace and the trend of digitalization, I think a day will come. Probably this will be also the more we grow or more we mature. It depends on the kind of state of maturity that we are in India compared to other parts of the globe. Probably this air gap will not be as such.
Yeah,
Uh,
IoT is adding another dimension. IoT is
yeah,
also
that's true.
another
That's true.
dimension.
So maybe if I can quickly, take this discussion maybe to a different, to the last stage. And I'm sorry, probably we have to crunch timing aspects also. I would request each one of you. Maybe we can start with Vireshwar, then followed by Somnath and Narayan to wind up probably. And if I get some time, I'll try to sum it up whatever we understood. What will be your take? Because we have discussed about the pros and cons, or rather, the necessity of SOC. Resiliency is a must to have. People continues to be the weakest link in the chain, and coming back to the air gap may be a myth going forward. So, in keeping this context in view, if we would like to explore about a consolidated SOC, maybe will it be considered a threat or opportunity? I'd like to invite independent views. Maybe let me start with Vireshwar. Maybe if we can keep it 1.5 minutes per colleague, per panelist. Vireshwar, over to you. What will
Yeah,
be
I
your take?
think I think that is not such a bad idea. So consolidating any of these things may not be a very bad idea, because you need a very comprehensive view of the system in order to figure out if your system is under attack or not. And it also makes updating your system with any of the newer technologies, or just mitigating some security vulnerabilities with some patches much easier and much more and it is very easy to actually handle security incidents in that manner. And therefore, I think that is a good idea.
Over to Somnath.
Yeah, so to take it like that, yeah, SOC is the call of the time. It has to be done some point or other. However, there are two aspects I would like to look into it. One is I would say the size of the organization is also an important entity as far as the geographical locations of the infrastructures of those organizations. It should also be taken into consideration as to a more of a kind of, we should go for a baby steps towards forming localized SOC rather than forming a consolidated SOC as a whole for the organization. One can always debate on the fact of the cost, but yeah, localized SOC can be a small SOC, not up to the level of infrastructure actually a SOC would be having. And the other point of view, I think I would like to take cue from Narayan, is that the entire OT infrastructure is based upon zones and conduits and the defense in depth architecture. So once we are going for a consolidation of this SOC, we have to be very careful how we are spanning or how we are doing a passive environment, how actually we are taking those logs and data, and maybe to the true sense of the Jones and conduit, keeping the true sense of the Jones and conduit requirement and the defense in depth requirement, we have to do it. So from my take will be a baby steps towards individual SOCs in localized geographical locations, then forming a consolidated SOC as we mature day by day.
Narayan, what will be your take? You're on mute, Narayan, probably.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
I taking the what Mr. Somnath has told in the same thing, but slightly I would add a slight dimension to that. Instead of zone isolated socks, because because the vulnerabilities don't stay somewhere, someplace, they travel here and there. So central sock has to have some umbilical cord connected to the localized sock, if at all there. If it is there, so some sort of feed has to come, so that the kind of thing, the total it can be brought onto the aggregates. So that is there, but it's definitely a good idea that because the our same kind of organizations which are very big in size, and the OT systems are scattered. The another worst part is OT systems are not in the some wonderful metro cities. They are spread out in the remotest places, where the other communication and those kind of infrastructural issues are also there. So that is one other challenge, which is as far as our kind of setups which are there, particularly more so with the upstream oil industry. So those becomes another set of challenge. So this the zoning and this putting the entire revisiting the architecture is most important thing, first step towards that, and taking the concerted logs from the perimeter devices around those zones. So they have to be then collected and then locally analyzed for this thing. And then sort of, but something has to be there from the with the total intelligence feed also there, that also benefit also should go onto all those socks. So some has to be, some connectivity has to be there, where the intelligence finally the intelligence feed from IB or certain or NCIPC, all those things come, they have to flow back to those zones, because whether that alert input has to go. So this kind of design has to be there when the so that the local, even if it is a federated stock, I would call it not local but a federated one, those can benefit from the intelligence inputs of the
So,
larger
so,
perspective.
so if I can again sum up, I think you are also in favor of contemplating or explore about the synchronized SOC. Thank for your independent views, and it was really a pleasure to discuss very critical and key topic today in our discussion. And probably we can probably consider as a sum up about the synchronized SOC. I think we were discussing about better performance, improved flexibility, increased operational standards, and also enhanced security orchestration, supported by appropriate security technologies around and the people training part. So I think we have just 9 more seconds or 8 more seconds to wind up. So I can, it's a really, it was a huge pleasure for making it happen today, and thank you each one of you. And I hope, but we couldn't answer all the questions of audiences. So Harshita, maybe
Yeah.
we can attempt to give them answers, maybe as a post fact or something of that. So over to you, Harshita.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. So, in the interest of time, we would not be able to take all the questions as stated by Mr. Amitava, but we can take at least one question if
Sure, sure.
we can answer that. So the question
Yes.
is, it's outsourced SOC an option in terms of securing the OT infrastructure?
There is no answer in black and white. I mean, it's something which has to be assessed. There is nothing harm to outsource SOC. I mean, it's a very widely accepted practice even in the IT environment. But since we are just maturing and we are just in a novice sort of taking a baby step at this as far the country India is concerned, I think this can be also a commodity going forward. But this is a business decision, needs to be taken by the owner of the assets. So as such, we being typical cybersecurity analyst or consultants kind of hat that we are wearing today, we will not be able to say in favor or in against of it. I would like to invite any other views of the panelists, if any, on this topic. Anyone, if you would like to go ahead with.
Yeah, I would like to add that because it has, we have rightly put, the risk perception and the risk totally differs from one organization. The operations matter of operations. The process of operations varies from one organization to other, and from national perspective also. And the security of the risk perception of the outsourced SOC itself, how secure that is, and how much vulnerability that adds in turn. So those all those things at the total ecosystem has to be, see, the things which are readily built solutions for IT may not really straight away fit into the OT environment. One aspect has to be brought in and completely hammered into the minds that OT controls the physical processes, all those things, which and gives hardly any time for reaction. And there is no thing which is basically totally can be done, which is the things cannot be shut down. In case of IT, we have a privilege that things can be shut down. Those privileges are not available with the OT. And anything happen that has the first damage to the process. If it is done, the irreparable kind of a damage can be done. So this kind of OT, how OT differs from IT, that has to be borne in mind. All those technologies and processes which are readily applicable for IT and IT kind of a thing cannot be straight away translated into OT. That's what. That's
So,
what.
so Harshita, just before I wind up, I mean, on this question, I do not know who has
Yeah.
asked this question, but I have a very optimistic view on this. So, going forward, even outsourced SOC in OT is going to be a very popular, interesting business model. And there are many organizations who are already started working on it. And I will certainly encourage the colleague or the panelist or the participants who has asked this question. I think he or she needs to be very optimistic. It's a matter of time. That's all.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, panelists. Thank you,
Thank you
attendees,
so
for
much.
attending this
Thank you.
session. It was really great
Thank
interaction.
you so much.
So
Thank
stay
you so
tuned for
much.
next sessions. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so
Thank
Thank
much.
you. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
you.